Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It is a cold and snowy Montana. We're on that temperature dive that happens often in January and February, where it goes down to -5, -14. It. Let's see what it's going to do. Meanwhile, you see me all bundled up. Okay, so let's start today. I want to talk about leadership. I want to talk about our role in leadership. And I want to first start with the flares because they've been sort of interesting. I'm going to show you this. This is the monthly, the month so far to date. And we've had an M class flare every single day, anywhere between M1, but particularly there's an M7 and an M8. And we know that after it goes to M9.9, it goes to a X class. So an X class is 10 times more powerful than the M flare, and the M flare is 10 times more powerful than the C class. So, we've talked about this a lot, and I want to keep reiterating that when we have an M class flare, what we have is a tower moment. And in some ways, we want to say that tower moment is bringing in information and light and helping us sort of see our home, build our home. And I love this light seers. It's very optimistic. It's very lovely. And what we're also experiencing is that some of us are feeling it coming into our energy systems and really just lighting us up and turning us into some sort of self-knowledge, some sort of being that is just profound, right? And then we go to the Thoth deck, and it's like, and some of us are having our entire worlds turned upside down by these M class flares. Now, if we look at what happened over the last week, from the beginning of February, end of January, beginning of February, we've been seeing things like 8, 9, 10 M class flares a day and dozens of C class. So we know that we're being rocked, and we know that there's a lot of electromagnetic energy in the surface of our earth that's sort of swirling us around. Now, Amanda Lawrence is this beautiful, gentle soul who puts something out maybe once a month, maybe once every 2 months. And she put out a piece that said that the energies of 2024, when the flares came in, and we had a big flare last year at this time, a big X class, that they were electric. That meant that they were hitting our nervous system and really causing a lot of electrical pain in our body. Now in 2025, they're what does she call? They're magnetic. They magnetize our energy system. So what I did was look up magnetize, which is to attract, to charm, or to influence, right? Or to be magnetic, which is an extraordinary power or ability to attract. So if these solar flares are starting to magnetize our energy now, then what I want to know is, well, what are we attracting? What is it that we're attracting? Why are we going through all of these, right? What is it that we're being called to do? What is being removed from us? Why are we being activated, magnetized in such a level, right? So, it's like, what are we attracting? What are we being pulled towards? And so what I've been hearing for the last 12 years, since the 2012, well, actually it's 13 years, since the 2012 shift, is that, it's time for that there will be a time when people will come find you. There will be a time when you will be needed. There will be a time, so get yourself ready. And it was kind of like, well, I wonder when that's going to be because, I've been putting coaching out there. I've been putting these videos out since 2015. So 10 years of videos every single Sunday. And like, ta-dum, 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 sometime, maybe, hopefully, right? But what this does is it speaks to energetic leadership. And I wanted to talk about that, energetic leadership, where, what we're doing is we're bringing in information on a much different level, right? What's been experienced or known before. So what's happening is we're showing up within our own systems, within ourselves, in new profound ways, understanding our sensitivities, understanding how we're being affected, right? We're showing up in our partnerships differently. We're showing up in our family as a parent differently, in work, in our world, because what's happening is there's so much good you are here to do as you magnetize, as you align yourself with these energies that are coming in from the flares. Because we've talked about these are photons, they're bringing about changes in our cellular structure, they're reshifting us, they're opening us up to remembering who we are and why we are here and what we can do with that information, right? So, the energetic leadership that I'm talking about, it takes a lot of courage. And this is the two ways that courage has been shown. One is this, sort of pushing through the mental constructs, pushing through the matrix, the enslavement, the programming, and becoming who you are. And this is what, when you're totally free to be who you are, what it looks like. And Thoth calls this lust, right? So lust meaning like a lust for life. Everything is so valuable, right? So when we're managing and we're flowing with our intrinsic selves, with this being that we're here to be, right? Then what happens is we step out of action and reaction. So, what we first know is like, oh, so when something happens, I'm stabilizing, I'm holding it, I'm understanding the triggers and addressing them with patience, with compassion, and I'm responding to the situation, which puts me in this beautiful, you know, individual leadership role, right? And make no mistake, we are being tested, as we know, flare after flare after flare that's coming in. It's just like pummeling us. And we're like, wait a minute, if I use my breath, if I don't take it personally, if I understand that people are being agitated in a much different way, then like, oh, this is what's going on, right? Makes sense. So, with every, yeah, we're being tested with every moment of every day, whether it's a trigger, whether it's our reactions, whether it's information that comes in and starts, pulling us to the surface, right? From within. And we're managing ourselves really, really well. And so, what I'm thinking is that as we're being triggered, as we're being affected, we're like, I'm not afraid of this. I'm going to go right after it and learn how to use these tools. I'm going to use my fire to go right after things. I'm going to show that I am here to be a leader because I have an energy system now that knows what to do with that fire and that reaction, knows what to do when I am agitated, knows what to do when something stirs up like these flares. And, I'm modeling, I'm teaching, I'm showing others who I am, or how, or at least who I am to myself. Oh, wow, I didn't get all bundled up in my fists and totally pissed off today. Um, I didn't, and you can fill in the gap. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. I responded differently because we're using our abilities. We're using these abilities that we've been talking about over and over for the last year and a half to 2 years, which is we're observing what's going on. So our observer is really powerfully taking over. We're sort of seeing things from that are seen and unseen, right? We're reading the room, we're reading the community, we're reading the news, and we're seeing gaps in information, and the truths are starting to sort of come out like, oh no, what if that hasn't been what we thought it was? What if it's been different, right? We refuse to go into energetic reaction. We're not having these temper tantrums and these fits and these crawling in and wanting the world to go away. We're applying support, right? And nurturing to our nervous system. We're resting when we need to. We're drinking. We're keeping ourselves hydrated. We're working with supplements and diet. And we're making choices minute by minute on how to manage and address our fears, our triggers, what happens with the unknown when it comes after us. So who else is better to lead than us? Because we've been learning week by week. Look at these videos we do. What's going on out there, what we can anticipate, what tools we can use so that we can feel into an approach when something new, when something big, when something different happens, and we learn from it like, oh, whoa, January, and now we're what? At the 9th of February. So not even a month into or month and a half into this new year, and so much has been coming at us, and we've developed tools, and we're resourcing with others, and we're reaching out, and we're seeing the world in a completely different way with a completely different lens, right? And we're coming at it from a solid, really grounded way, which makes sense because as we become more grounded in understanding, oh, that's what this is. I know what this is. I know what to do. We are a lot more confident than we give ourselves credit to be. So already in 2025, we've been inundated with these repetitive M classes, with these tower challenges and the news. There's money fears, there's relationship decisions, there's angers. We've got people protesting, we've got name calling going back and forth. Yet we are also managing our bodies and our energies and ourselves, and we're doing it really well. Just know that we're doing it really well. So I have 6 tips for you, right? And before I go into the tips, there's a couple of housekeeping things that make a lot of sense to do it right now, which is number 1, we do a discussion every Tuesday following this video. So if you want to jump into this discussion, join my Patreon group. It helps me financially. It also gives us an opportunity to gather 4 times a month and discuss this for an hour and 15 minutes. And you're always welcome. And plus, I like to post things in there that I don't have an opportunity to cover here in the video. So that's the first thing, Patreon, if you want to come join the discussion groups. The second thing is that, I've been coaching for 25 years. I don't know that I would call myself a coach anymore as much as a teacher, a guide, or a support system for you. And if this is something that you feel like you need at this time, by all means, let me drop me a note, and let's see what we can explore. And then finally, I do tarot readings, and as a double Pisces, I do deep, meaningful tarot readings about, like, help me understand who I am as a leader, help me understand what I'm being asked to do. So those are the kinds of things that I offer, that if they call to you, by all means, I would love to hear from you, and you can get all my contact information down below in the description. So let's get on to those tips because they're really fun. Okay, so first tip, use your intuition and your inner knowing to guide you. Absolutely use that intuition and inner knowledge to guide you. It's the most important. So you want to lean into it. You want to lean into what you're noticing. You want to lean into what information you're gathering, and what's inside you, and how you feel, and what you know, and start to trust that, right? So the first thing is that use your intuition. Use all of this information that comes into you so that you can navigate. That's the difference in leadership now, is using this. Okay. Number 2, if you get rocked, be gentle. Use maybe the yes and no's. Like, did I just misread that? Is there more information than I thought? Are there ways for me to access deeper, more information so that I don't get rocked? Because what we're doing is we're using tools to get clarity, right? So we can ponder, so we can understand what to do in this physical world, so that we can stay in balance, right? So what you're experiencing, every single one of these moments in time, and we're using these to recalibrate, to restart, to reframe, and learn what you know differently now than what you knew before. So make no mistake, there are days when I'm on the couch going, like, I don't know what to do. And there are also times when I'm very confidently going, oh, that's what this is. So now I know how to talk about that. So if you get rocked, be gentle. Okay. Number 3, release the need to defend, document, or prove yourself in your approach to anyone, because what we're doing is we're navigating against old traditional ways of, if it isn't in a book, or the person doesn't have a PhD, or it hasn't been documented or proven in court, then it doesn't exist. And what I'm saying is we're in brand new territory, right? And we are breaking the chains of what have held us. So don't get stuck in that trap of having to prove, this is what I know, this is where it came from. Joe Dispenza said this, or think of all these authority figures that we have from Gaia or from the New Age. Just drop all of that and go into your own navigational system, because you're the one who's learning and clarifying and changing. And so this freedom of trusting yourself is where leadership really lands. It's when others falter or when you see the world not knowing what to do. This is how we lead. We trust ourselves and we trust the intuition that we're getting. And we boldly go into new territory with this, right? Okay. So number 4, find resources in people, in sites, in conversations, in videos like this, right? That reinforce your self empowerment, which is, oh man, I am thinking this. I am feeling this. I am noticing this. I'm not crazy, right? Because what we're doing is we're looking at self knowledge. We're looking at resourcing with other people who can validate or at least support you in some of this awareness, and be really aware that this may not be local. You're not going to find this in your sister or in your best friend or in your marriage. Maybe you will. Maybe that's what you have that you share, and know that they may come from all over in different parts of the world. Within any given week, I'm on the phone with a very dear friend of mine in Utah, a friend and colleague of mine in Australia, um, a friend in South Carolina, and I'm starting to get to know a woman in South America that's phenomenal. And so these are the forms that support me, right? That I can really step forward and share what is it that I'm learning, and this is how I'm going to lead, right? So find resources. Number 5, wow. More than anything, be brave and be courageous. And I'm going to put him in here. Well, all of these, because these guys are really important to have. This is the Princess of Discs. This is the absence of fear in your body. So when you are brave, when you are courageous, you speak up and you offer a different perspective, different than what's going on at the gathering or at work or within any group, even within your partnership, right? Because you're offering seeds. And these seeds don't often, if you know about perennials and about wildflowers and how they grow, those seeds may be dormant for years until you uncover them or until they find the right environment, and then they begin to take off, right? Because what we're doing is we're showing that we understand what's going on, and we are planting seeds, we are planting ideas, we are planting change very courageously against the fray, against the chaos. So things like word choices, reframing, reframing with compassion. If someone has a really derogatory statement that they're saying about a political party, you can say, I imagine that we're all really afraid right now. And so what happens is we remove the shame and the blame and the finger pointing, and we open up the energy like a Fibonacci. We just open it up so that it can become something different. This is what leadership looks like, right? And then I think the final one always for me is going to be to have compassion, because we're each on our own journey and we're all on our own trajectory and our own timeline, and we're doing this in different levels. And leaders are always first. Leaders are the ones who go through the experiences, learn them, and then turn around and say, hey, I think I have an idea of what we need to do right now. So lead. We are being called to lead, whether it's to lead with yourself, lead within your partnership, lead within your family system, lead within work, or lead within the world. It is time. And I am so excited to bring this message to you. So if that's helpful, please like and share it, pass it along. Let's see, we have lots of astrological stuff going on. So if you're on Patreon, I'm going to put some lists on there. We have the Super Bowl tonight. We have Valentine's Day before I see you next. So we've got a lot of things going on. So just lead with your heart, lead with compassion, and lead with gentleness. I'll see you next week.